Well, there are arguably more questions than answers at this stage as to the arrest of Durov. Our tech editor, Julia Seeger, has been looking into the story, and she may be able to answer a few of those questions for us. Now, Julia, first of all, do we know any more about his arrest?
No, since the beginning of his custody, we haven't had any information regarding the case. It has indeed, the custody has been extended, and it could last up to 96 hours, but that's usually what happens for terrorist suspects. Now, what we know is that the arrest warrant was issued by what we call OFFMAN here in France. It's an agency that's dedicated to combat violence against minors, and it's part of a preliminary probe for many alleged offenses, and they range from fraud, drug trafficking, cyberbullying, organized crime, to even the promotion of terrorism. Now, of course, he's not personally accused of it. We're not saying that he personally participated in cyberbullying or drug trafficking, but he's accused of not having done enough to stop the criminal use of Telegram, as asked also by the EU's Digital Markets Act, which is a law that was voted in by the EU recently. But that said, the search warrant was issued here in France. Now, so the first thing is that we're told that he didn't moderate the platform enough, and one of the problems with Telegram is that you have those groups that can accommodate up to 200,000 people. These are huge communities, and they're often singled out and accused of increasing the viral potential of certain content. And the second thing he's accused of is not collaborating enough with investigators when we're told he was asked to do so. Now, we're not told when he was asked to do so, how many times he was asked to do so, or in which case.
That does, though, fit with how Durov describes himself, because he sees himself as a libertarian, doesn't he?
That's right. He's very much committed to security and confidentiality of the personal data of his users, and also protecting freedom of speech. Now, the entire model of Telegram is based on this. So the conversations are encrypted end to end. This is a protocol that guarantees that the security of the communication. So that means that Telegram or other people, no one can actually access the information when it's being sent. Now, they've also chose transparency because the code is open source. This means that anybody in the public can come and audit the line of code to see if perhaps there's been a backdoor that's been added to it, and that's a choice, a transparency choice that Meta, for instance, hasn't made. When you look at their economic model, they don't resell or monetize the data, and they're also known historically to not easily collaborate, indeed, with governments or with law enforcement. Twice they've done it before, well, several times actually they've done it before, but it's only after several procedures. Now, some other platforms tend to do it more readily, for instance, by giving IP addresses or email addresses. Now, he said it several times, loud and clear, he won't answer to anybody. He hasn't answered to the Kremlin when the Kremlin asked him to shut down certain accounts like Navalny's account, and he refused, and that's also why he left Russia. He won't receive orders from Paris or Washington either, let me tell you that. In an interview that he gave recently, there aren't many of interviews out there, but he gave an interview to Tucker Carlson, and he explained that the FBI had approached him to try to poach one of his coders, perhaps to create a backdoor. Of course, that's an information we can't verify, but it's not that surprising when we know also the history of certain programs that were set up by American Secret Services using personal information, including, for instance, the PRISM program that was revealed by Edward Snowden.
And is it the way that Telegram operates, particularly that confidentiality, the encryption you were talking about, that makes the app so popular?
Exactly. It's exactly why people go to Telegram, is because they know that their information is safe. It's been downloaded by more than almost 1 billion active users today. Probably next year they'll reach that amount of users. But it's also why, because it's so secure, you're going to have criminals on the platform, of course, but you're also going to have heads of states and also groups of opponents in countries where there's a lot of censorship. It's become extremely strategic, especially in the conflict opposing Ukraine and Russia, because Russian officials, but also Ukrainian officials, are using it. So pretty much what you have today is all the most strategic global conversations that are on Telegram, but with an encryption that is incredible.
Julia Seeger, great to get your take on this. Thanks very much indeed.